The Beatles lost tapes that almost became a garden shed.
Okay, so buckle up, because this is one of those Beatles stories that makes you want to scream into a pillow. We're talking about the Get Back sessions, also known as the Let It Be sessions, and how some of the most valuable recordings in rock history almost got turned into literal garden furniture. So it's 1969, right? The Beatles are kind of falling apart, but they decide to do this whole documentary project where they're going to record themselves writing and rehearsing a new album, then perform it live. It's supposed to be this raw back-to-basics thing, very authentic, very real. They set up at Twickenham Film Studios in January, and they're filming everything. Every conversation, every jam session, every argument about sandwiches. All of it's being captured on film and audio tape. We're talking dozens and dozens of hours of footage and recordings. Now, the project kind of implodes, shocker I know, and they eventually salvage it into the Let It Be album. But here's the thing, they recorded so much material that most of it just got stored. Like, they finished the project and basically threw all these tapes into boxes. Fast forward a few years, the Beatles have broken up, everyone's mad at each other, and all this footage and audio is just sitting in storage at Apple Corps, their company headquarters in London. And nobody's really thinking about it because, you know, they're all busy being solo artists and being mad at each other. Here's where it gets absolutely bonkers. Some facilities manager at Apple, just a regular guy doing his job, is cleaning out the building. He finds all these boxes of tape reels taking up space. Now remember, this is the 1970s. Nobody's thinking, oh, these will be historically valuable someday. They're just thinking these are taking up a lot of room. So this guy, and I swear this is true, he looks at these sturdy wooden reels that the tape is wound on, and he thinks, you know what? These would make excellent materials for building my garden shed. I'm not kidding. He was literally going to burn the tapes and use the wooden reels as building materials. Can you even imagine? Some of the most intimate Beatles recordings ever made. Paul and John working out harmonies, George quietly suggesting changes, Ringo making everyone laugh, all of it about to become smoke so some guy could have a nice shed for his lawnmower. Fortunately, and thank God for this, someone at Apple realized what was happening right before he could do it. They were like, wait, those are the Beatles tapes, and they managed to stop him literally days before he was going to start his little DIY project. But here's the thing that kills me. Nobody knows for sure if he'd already thrown some of them out. Like, there might be Beatles recordings that are just gone, burned, turned into garden shed supports in some guy's backyard in the 1970s. The tapes that did survive got locked away in a vault where they stayed for decades. And I mean decades, like, people knew they existed but nobody could really access them. There were all these legal issues between the Beatles, and the tapes just sat there. It wasn't until the 1990s that they finally started going through everything properly. And when they did, they found hundreds of hours of material, full jam sessions, early versions of songs, the Beatles just goofing around, conversations about their lives, their music, everything. Some of it eventually came out on the anthology series in the mid-90s, but even that was just a fraction of what was recorded. There's still hours and hours that have never been officially released. And then in 2021, 52 years after it was filmed, Peter Jackson, you know, the guy that made all those Lord of the Rings movies. Well, he finally got access to all the footage and made Get Back, that Disney Plus documentary. And everyone lost their minds because it was like seeing the Beatles as actual human beings, not just these mythical figures. But think about this. We almost didn't have any of it. It almost got burned so a guy could build a shed. There's something very Beatles about this story, though. Like, their entire career was this weird mix of incredible genius and complete chaos. $1,000,000 recordings almost becoming firewood. Yep, that makes sense. And apparently, when Paul McCartney found out about the near miss with the garden shed guy, he just laughed. Like, at that point, what else can you do? The Beatles had lost so much gear, so many recordings had been bootlegged, so many things had gone wrong over the years. A garden shed was just another thing on the list. The crazy part is thinking about what else might be out there. The Beatles recorded in so many studios, did so many sessions, played so many shows. How many tapes are still sitting in someone's attic? How many recordings got taped over? How many pieces of Beatles history got tossed in a dumpster because someone needed to clear out space? There's probably some guy in Liverpool right now who has no idea that the reel-to-reel tape he's using as a doorstop is actually a lost Beatles jam session from 1964. Oh, and here's a fun postscript. After the Get Back documentary came out and everyone saw how much material was recorded, people started asking, why don't they release all of it? And the answer is basically, there's too much. A lot of it isn't very good, and also, hilariously, some of it is just the Beatles being bored and cranky and complaining about being cold. Like, you'd get 14 hours of John going, "It's freezing in here," and Paul tuning his bass for the 40th time. Not exactly compelling listening. But still, the fact that we almost lost all of it to a garden shed, that's the kind of, oh my god, really, moment that makes Beatles history so wild. So next time you're watching Get Back or listening to the Let It Be album, just remember, you're experiencing art that almost literally went up in smoke. Those tapes survived by pure luck, someone paying attention at the last minute, and a facilities manager who probably still tells this story at parties. Yeah, I almost burned the Beatles tapes to build a shed. No big deal. Rock and roll, man. If you loved this story, hit that like button and subscribe to Groovy Tunes with Del. I've got tons more Beatles stories that'll make you go, what? That actually happened? The 1960s were absolutely insane, and the Beatles were right in the middle of all of it. Stay groovy, beautiful people.